Hi, Mahi.
Good morning, sir. Hi,
Hi,
sir.
good morning. Yes, thank you.
Nice to
Madam,
see you
आल्या?
after long time.
Yeah,
हो
yeah,
हो
yeah. How
येस
are you?
सर.
How are you? You must be in the final year, ना?
येस सर.
Okay, nice, nice. मॅडम, तुझं माझं काल बोलणं झालं होतं. त्यांनी मला लिंक पाठवलेली आहे. मी जॉईन केली. मी आताच आलो जस्ट फ्रॉम जर्मनी.
अच्छा.
आय एम इंटरेस्टेड इन अटेंडिंग द लेक्चर. चालू आहेत. मॅडम आल्यात का? म्हणजे
नाही सर जॉईन होत आहे मॅडम.
हा नाही व्याख्यात्या मॅडम त्याही खरडेन विषय आहेत.
अच्छा.
त्या बहुतेक मॅडमच्याकडे रिलेटिव्ह असण्याची शक्यता आहे. चुलत मावस
हो
बहीण
हो
वगैरे काही. हम्म.
हो हो रिलेटिव्स
चालेल.
आहे.
ओके ओके बाय थँक्यू.
येस सर. स्वराज.
हॅलो.
हा रेकॉर्डिंग होत आहे का?
हो, रेकॉर्डिंग मी स्टार्ट केली आहे. माझा कॅमेराचा इश्यू आहे, बट रेकॉर्डिंग चालू आहे.
अच्छा म्हणजे बेसिकली मीट रेकॉर्ड होत आहे ना?
येस येस, मीट रेकॉर्ड होते. आणखी पण आहे,
अच्छा
श्रेया पण करत आहे.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक आहे.
येस.
ठीक आहे.
Good morning. Good morning, Mai.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, Chaudhary sir is with us.
Yeah.
Pranav sir.
I got it.
Pranav is
Even
also.
Pranav sir. Yeah. Welcome,
नमस्कार
Pranav.
मॅडम.
नमस्कार.
नमस्कार मॅडम नमस्कार.
अरे किती दिवसांनी भेटले. काय म्हणतात माझे?
हो, मी आता 8:30 पावणे 9ला घरी पोहोचतो.
अच्छा.
हम्म.
गुड.
जमलंय
छान.
म्हणजे
छान.
चालेल. ओके.
नाती कशा आहे? नावं काय ठेवलीत?
नाती किमया आणि अंतरा.
खूपच सुंदर.
किमया आणि अंतरा चांगला आहे, म्हणजे मजेत आहेत एकदम छान.
गुड. Mahi, Sonal ma'am have joined?
हे प्रणव
माही?
सोनटक्के आहे का? प्रणव आहे.
हो सर हो
प्रणव.
सर
No,
प्रणव
no.
आहे.
तुम्ही क्या बात आहे. नमस्कार प्रणव.
नमस्कार सर नमस्कार.
नाईस टू सी यू. चला, आम्ही बऱ्यापैकी कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आहोत बरं का, प्रणव आणि आम्ही.
छान.
सर माहिती आहे मॅडमला पण माहिती आहे.
सर प्रणवचा सत्कार केला आपण
हो,
याच्यामध्ये फर्स्ट इयर
तेही कळलं
ऍड्रेस
मला.
मध्ये.
म्हणजे आखरे परशुराम आखरे आणि प्रणव दोघांचे झाले. चांगलं झालं, छान.
हो.
आय वॉज व्हेरी हॅपी.
आपले अल्युमनाय खूप चांगलं करतायत, ही खूप आनंदाची गोष्ट आहे आणि
खूपच
तेच
छान.
आपल्याला पुढे आणायचं आहे. हा आजचाही प्रोग्राम त्याच शृंखलेत आहे.
एक अभिषेक देशमुखही आहे. त्याच्यानंतर चिकटे पण माझ्या कॉन्टॅक्टमध्ये. हे सगळे बेस्ट आउटगोईंग स्टुडंट आहेत बरं का. त्याच्या
हो.
वेळचे निदान
आणखी
4-5 तरी आहेत माझ्या कॉन्टॅक्टमध्ये.
सोनलच्याच बॅचचे आणखी एक समीर सावरकर आहे. ही वॉज ऑल्सो बेस्ट स्टुडंट.
येस
प्रयत्न आहे
येस येस.
त्यांनी बोलवण्याचं. त्यांचं पण काम खूप मोठं आहे.
मी असताना 4-5 जण असे जमलेले आहेत माझ्याशी लिंक्ड आहेत की मी त्यांच्याशी बऱ्यापैकी कॉन्टॅक्टमध्ये राहतोय.
समानशिलेषु व्यसनेषु सख्यम.
नाही, ही मुलं चांगलीच आहेत, प्रश्नच नाही. म्हणजे सगळीच लोक छानच आहेत.
हो. माही,
Yes, ma'am.
सोनल मॅमला पिंक करून दे.
हो मॅम. हो.
सुरू झाली आहे म्हणून. एक 15 मिनिट मुद्दाम ब्रिदिंग टाइम ठेवला होता. मॅडमला
येस येस
9:30ची वेळ दिली.
येस. तोपर्यंत बरेच जण जमतील आता.
नाही ते तेवढं ठेवावंच लागतं ब्रिदिंग टाइम, नाहीतर मग कारण त्यांच्याकडे 12 तास मागे आहे ना, तर रात्र आहे. त्यांना खूप उशीर नको होता.
अच्छा, त्या तिकडनंच बोलणार आहेत काय? बर.
हो, कॅलिफोर्निया, स्ट्रेट फ्रॉम कॅलिफोर्निया.
हम्म.
आम्ही जवळपास 6 महिने परसिव्ह केल्यानंतर वेळ मिळाली आहे, कारण शी इज व्हेरी
हो.
बिझी, खूपच बिझी पर्सन आहे.
तुमच्या बहीण आहेत का त्या?
हो.
राईट. मला डाऊट होता तुला.
हो,
कन्फ्युज.
आम्ही सेम बॅचचे.
अच्छा, अरे वा वा. क्या बात आहे.
ती येणार पण होती कॉलेजला, खूप ऍक्टिव्ह होती.
अच्छा, छान.
ते त्यांच्या वेळेला हॉस्टेल नव्हते, हॉस्टेलसाठी पण खूप परसिव्हन्स केला होता त्यांनी, त्यांच्या
हम्म.
पूर्ण बॅचनी. कालच आरपी चौधरी सरांशी बोलणं झालं, जे तिचे प्रोजेक्ट गाईड होते.
अच्छा,
लग्नाला आले होते ठाकरे सरांकडे.
आरबी सध्या सीओईपी ला आहेत ना? आरबी
नाही,
सर.
नागपूर, जीसीओई नागपूर.
अच्छा, आता बदली झालेली दिसते.
हो.
बाकी सरांच्या तब्येत कशी आहे? रफी सरांची
छान, व्यवस्थित.
ठीक आहे ना?
Ma'am, I guess Sonal ma'am has joined the meeting. Good morning, ma'am.
नमस्कार मॅडम, मी प्राध्यापक दिलीप चौधरी या कॉलेजचा माजी शिक्षक आहे.
नमस्कार.
आता तुमच्याबद्दल मॅडमशी बोलणं झालं. सो व्हेरी गुड मॉर्निंग हिअर. तुमच्याकडे नाईट आहे होते.
Yeah, yeah.
सो
So these are all other students on the call?
नो आय थिंक टोटल 24 hours there. They
Okay.
others will they are go they will just join in the meanwhile. I think so.
Okay. Okay.
मॅडम सांगते तेव्हा सुरू करायला हरकत नाही. 9:30ला करूया मला वाटतं. एक 3-4 मिनिटं थांबायला हरकत नाही.
ठीक आहे.
मनीषा मॅम तुमचा आवाज म्यूट आहे.
अच्छा, हॅलो. हा. प्रणव, तुम्ही पण इंट्रोड्यूस करून देते तुम्हाला. तुम्ही पण कॅमेरा ऑन करा. Hello, Pranav. Sonal, he is also our alumni, 2014 batch.
कोण?
Pranav Sontak.
Oh, hi. Hello. Nice to meet you.
He was very eager to join the meeting. That's why I am introducing him.
Mhm.
Professor
So
Chaudhary.
nobody is at the camp. Sorry. No.
Hello?
So no one is at the campus for this event? Hey, so
No,
everyone is doing...
all are from home. All are
Okay.
from home.
Okay.
Yeah, because just now, yesterday only exam, probably today's last paper. Exam are still going on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and from 23rd, we are starting new session.
Oh, so no holidays.
No holiday, only tomorrow's Gudi Padwa.
I'm joining from Pune.
Yeah.
Oh, अच्छा.
I just at 8:30 I reached from Munich to Pune.
Oh, I see. From some conference.
No, I am raised with twin granddaughters.
Oh, I see.
So I've been
Nice.
there for about 3 months and just came today.
Nice.
It was a very joyful event.
Student, ask other student also to join first. We'll be starting. 35 students are all, 35 members are already joined. We'll start within few minutes.
2-3 मिनिटात सुरू करूया.
मी सरांना विचारते, प्रिन्सिपल सर जॉईन होत आहेत का? तर मेटकर सर झाले का जॉईन? माही?
नाही मॅम.
ओके, मी प्रिन्सिपल सरांना पण विचारून घेते.
मॅम मेटकर सर जॉईन झाले.
हा, मेटकर सर, ही इज डीन
नमस्कार.
R&D.
राजेश मेटकर सर नमस्कार. DJ चौधरी बोलतोय पुण्याहून. मेटकर सर.
To be spring now, but it's still cold. It's about right now it could be I think 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 8 degrees Celsius. It's still getting. I mean, by this time around, it's not usually that cold.
Here also, though it's March, it's cold.
Oh.
That's good, but everyone tells me that India is very hot right now. I mean,
No,
this
no,
year.
No, but I think recently there was events of some showers were there, na?
Yeah, showers and चक्क
Nagpur is
गारा
very
पडली.
hot.
गारा
हा,
पडली 2-3 दिवस आधी. 2 दिवस आधी.
Oh, really?
So it's very pleasant here.
That's
Uh,
so the
Mahi?
exams are online or they have
Yes,
to go to
ma'am.
the
No, offline. Totally offline.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Mahi, should we start?
Yes, ma'am. Principal sir is joining or not?
Just check. In Google Meet, I'm not able to find people.
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll start. You might be joining in between.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So, good morning, everyone. Ma'am, can you meet yourself?
Yeah.
It's getting equal. Good morning, everyone. I, Mahi Sagani, Institute Representative, GCoE Amravati. Welcome, respected Principal Dr. A.M. Mahalle, sir, Dr. M.B. Zappe, ma'am, Dean Student Welfare, Dr. R.M. Medkar, sir, Dean R&D, Dr. D.J. Chaudhary, sir, Pranav Sontakke, sir, who is an alumni of our college, all the coordinators of Vigyan Bharati, our today's guest, Ms. Sonal Tambe, ma'am, and dear audience. This month, the entire globe is celebrating the strength, empathy, and the beauty of women. With the same motto,
Mahi,
yes,
recording has been started. Please check.
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay, ma'am. With the same motto, we all are gathered here to celebrate the Nari Shakti, and for that, we are having with us the phenomenal personality. But before I introduce her, I would like to mention that this session is organized by our college in collaboration with Vigyan Bharati, aka Vibha. It is a non-profitable organization which promotes Indian science and technology for the welfare of all Indian citizens through Swadeshi movement. Thanks for joining with us. So, proceeding towards the main part of the program, I would like to confess that today we are going to have an interview with an entrepreneur who has broken the glass ceilings, achieved the greater heights, and living the life on her own terms. There is a filmy dialogue in Indian cinema that says कि किसी चीज को शिद्दत से चाहो तो सारी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने की साजिश करती है. With the same ambition, she has switched her 9 to 5 job, started her entrepreneurship journey, and successfully invented and launched a product called Nimble Heart, which is a wearable and reusable ECG monitor. She has achieved a lot in her life, and she believes that a way more to go. So, before having a chit chat with her, I would request Dr. M.B. Zappe ma'am to give a brief introduction about her and her cause.
Thank you, Mahi. Very healthy morning to one and all present here. Respected Mahalle sir, Medkar sir, Chaudhary sir, Pranav, members from Vigyan Bharati. It's indeed a great privilege to welcome and introduce my very dear childhood friend and sister, Miss Sonal Tambe, Khadilis. She is also one of our proud alumni. She had a bachelor degree in electronics engineering from our college, from Amravati University in 1993. After that, she had MBA from University of California, Los Angeles. Sonal performed various leadership roles at consumer electronics, wireless, and semiconductor companies such as Apple, Marvel Semiconductors. She has also contributed to the marketing strategy for St. Jude Medical Remote Monitoring Products. She is presently co-founder and chief executive officer at Nimble Heart, brings over 15 years of experience in the entire life cycle of product development, from semiconductor to the user device. Sonal has been instrumental in bringing Nimble Heart from concept to reality by thorough team building, product development, clinical trials, management, fundraising, and business development. It's indeed a challenging and inspiring journey. So, over to Mai to start the interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for such an amazing introduction. Ma'am, shall we start with the interview?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's start with the questions. Ma'am, can you mute yours? So, ma'am, when we talk about business, it's about earning money, having all the luxuries in life, or it is basically about uplifting our own standards by earning money. So, when Zappe ma'am talked about your business or your cause, I was very excited to know what basically Nimble Heart is. So, can you give a brief about what Nimble Heart is?
Yeah. First of all, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. It's indeed a pleasure to be back to back to my alma mater, and with especially engineering girl students and my fond childhood friend and relative Manisha. And can I ask if most of the students are girl or women students here, or is it attended by all the students?
Uh, Ma'am, we have equal number of girls and boys, so we have not just restricted it to females only.
Okay, okay, got it. Yeah, so to address your question is it's a very big question, but I'll start with what was Nimble Heart started for, and what is it. So you mentioned business is done for luxuries and all. So basically, business is a way of producing value more than what you could do in job. One single person's efforts, when they're put with the resources that they have and they put something together and they create value not only for themselves or for creating wealth for themselves, but for their customers, for all the stakeholders, including investors. And that's what this business about. And I did not start Nimble Heart, or Nimble Heart was not founded just for someone to switch from a job to a business, but it was our mission was creating preventive care, which is very easy for all the cardiac risk people. And when we talk about cardiac risk people, there are or preventive care rather, there are two types of preventive cares. One is called primary prevention, where someone who is at risk has not had any event or surgery or procedure, and secondary is cardiac prevention, which means people who have undergone at least one event or procedure, but they're still at risk. So the category of cardiac patients, unfortunately, is such that once at risk is forever at risk. And that's why there is a concept of secondary prevention as well. So when we started Nimble Heart, the mission was to have some easy, wearable, and home usable and comfortably usable monitor that can be used for preventive care outside the hospitals. And with this mission, the reason I started it was yes, a business has lots of different goals, but I wanted to do something which is equally emotionally fulfilling rather than just working on high tech, which I was doing already. But this, I'm not a doctor or I cannot save anyone's life. But when, while taking my MBA, I started doing a remote patient monitoring project with St. Jude Medical. And the first day of that, I said, if I am switching to any industry, it will be this, because it can be so fulfilling use of high technology plus regulation plus at least touching someone's life where they can take care of them. And that's how Nimrod started.
Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. Indeed, this invention is gonna save a lot of lives. So another question is: today, when we watch Shark Tank, we see the same number of female judges as the male judges on panel. So the concept of women being an entrepreneur is trending nowadays, but it was not few years back. So I'm damn sure you must have fought the untold battles in your journey. So we would love to know about your journey of ups and downs.
Yeah, I hear that Shark Tank has become very popular in your generation. That's good. You
Yes, ma'am.
watch it. I haven't watched it myself, frankly, ever actually.
Okay.
However, so yeah, trend is definitely it matters, and people get used to finding more women entrepreneurs. But frankly, uh, any career, for any entrepreneur, whether it's a man or woman, it's always a tough journey. And I won't say just because you're a woman it's tougher. It could be depending on how confident you are, how professional you are, and most importantly how you know your mission and the value that you're bringing. Again, the value to investors, the value to people, and value to customers. And however, my initial impressions were basically, and since we are a group of engineers, I was so happy to realize that the doctors think that engineers have some superpowers. They can build anything. And when I came across this cardiologist, and he said we should do something like this, basically exercise ECG. And when I told him, yeah, I can, frankly, I didn't know it would take so much of invention. Again, I thought that everything was about electronics and software. That's where the inventions happen. And I thought, yeah, we can build it. And he said, wow, you guys, I mean, all the engineers are great. And then I realized that there are so many other things to make the sensors work when patient is exercising. I mean, it's called motion artifacts, and Nimble ended up doing few patents about that. And since we are engineers, I can say this. We all know that the body has a very high impedance. And for ECG, we are measuring microamperes of current. And even if you breathe or if you move a little bit, that impedance, the contact with the electrode is going to change the impedance. And that causes so much noise, which is in-band noise again. So designing something, this felt like a momentous task. But good thing was that since I came from a slightly different industry, I did not compare myself with what was already being done. My co-founding partner, cardiologist, he just put such a high bar that we thought, okay, this is what we have to do. And without looking at any other products, we just kept on working on it. And finally, it got working. And again, people ask me, that was another thing, since you asked about as a woman. Basically, a lot of people used to say, oh, so you and your husband are doing this, or oh, your husband did this. And even in US, people asked me so many times, especially, yeah, looking at a 5 feet small Indian woman, they used to say that. And then I said, no, my husband is practically an investor and my mentor and my friend and the tester of the product, but he's not involved in this. Having said that, he's from IIT and IIM, and I can brainstorm with him. I can pick his brain anytime. He has given me a lot of support, but it has been built by me and my team. So people sometimes assume that, and I guess I won't take it to my heart. I mean, times are changing, but any entrepreneurship, that doesn't mean it gets any easier, because every time you're doing something new, you will always have lots of uncertainties, a lot of unknown battles that you fight.
That's great, ma'am. It's amazing to know that you have built everything on your own. Next question is, how did you decide that you want to invent something like Nimble Heart? Is there any particular incident that has happened in your life and motivated you to do something for heart patients?
So basically, when it comes to heart disease, most of us would have at least first or second degree relative, meaning first or second degree connection in our family who has had heart problem, right? It's so common in India and even in US. So there's nothing that we don't know. We haven't, nobody, there won't be anyone who has not seen heart patients in their life. But the reason I got into this was I remember that incident very avid. Basically, there was one of my coworkers at Apple, and he was it was, I think, around 2010, around that time. And he came to office one day. He was late, and he was a big, tall, white guy. And uh, we asked him why is he late, and in the whole big conference room, he lifts up his shirt and shows 10 electrodes hanging from his body with wires. And that was pretty shocking. And that was apparently he had some condition because of which he had to be monitored, and he had to wear that big mass of wires and electrodes for 24 hours on his body and walk around and work with that. And he says, at Apple we're doing so many things, and how come nobody has invented anything more convenient than this? And at that time, Apple was not frankly into any healthcare or any such business. But I also happened to work with St. Jude Medical during that time. So all those things came together. And while doing my research, I talked to Dr. Deshmukh and I thought there is some opportunity where we can make a difference. So usually people do say that there is one single incident, but I think in my case, a lot of things happening together. And like you said, the I don't remember the exact Hindi words, but the universe makes it happen, right? So that's how the stars come together, and you just feel like doing that.
As you said, that heart diseases have become so common these days due to unhealthy lifestyle, and what you have invented is a need of every heart patient, because heart attacks or cardiac arrest are so sudden that the person is not mentally prepared for that. So my question is whether your product is affordable to every heart patient, or what efforts you put to make it available to everyone who needs it.
Yeah, that's a good question. And so, first of all, I'll say that it is supposed to be used for preventive care before you actually get a heart attack. So, when you know you have some risk, but you are not having symptoms. If you are having some symptoms, you need to call 911 or emergency, and you need to get to the hospital. And we have not designed our device to save you from heart attack per se, but it is to give you an early indication that you have such and such risk of that event. Now, for that, there are multiple ways. One of the ways, and the way that we are doing it, is through exercise ECG. Why exercise ECG? Because during exercise, your heart is under stress. Right? So, under stress, exercise ECG can indicate if there is any obstructions to the blood flow, meaning if there are any blockages, or if any arrhythmia, which means the abnormal rhythms that show up during exercise. It gives a warning ahead of time if you're having those. Now, in order to have this exercise ECG recorded and interpreted, you need clinical people. There will be AI done on this to give real warning, but when you put someone under stress, they are actually walking, and they're pushing themselves. That their heart is going to the best that they can perform. So there is a risk. So you are not supposed to do that yourself because you could get in trouble, right? So just like in a hospital, somebody holds the patient literally. I've seen the stress test being performed. We did a first clinical study in India, and you start with an angled walk on a treadmill, and someone has to really hold you because you might either fall down at some point in time, or you might actually get into a condition, or you may get so tired that you may need help. Plus, you don't know how much you're going to take. So, the point of all this is that a stress test needs to be monitored by some other clinically trained person. So that person has to be there. So that is why FDA asked us to make it not a not a consumer device, but a prescription device. Meaning it can be used at home or it can be used at other place outside the hospital, like alternate care clinic or uh, old age centers or rehab centers, etc. But that needs to be monitored by someone, either live or virtually, like we are doing. So that is the reason we don't sell it to individuals. But the price is pretty affordable. The price is affordable in all the countries that we have talked to, and it is affordable in India. Individual price wise, we don't usually give an individual unit per se, but it is more about a lease or a bunch of units that the hospital or the program gets. Having said that, if cardiologists were to get, let's say, one unit for, let's say, just two patients to try out or something, it will cost around 699 US dollars. And we also offer the interpretation service.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. So basically, it is affordable. Um, okay. So next question is: in Indian society, having a job is considered as a secured option, and having a business is a risky thing. So belonging to Indian roots, how difficult it was for you to convince your family or your closed ones to switch from job to business, because you have a well settled 9 to 5 job. So. Yes.
Yeah, I think the word you earlier also mentioned the word 9 to 5. So first of all, when it comes to engineering work, there is no such thing as 9 to 5 anymore. And it was not 9 to 5 at all at Apple either. So Apple is in fact, I would call Apple to be a big startup, and I learned a lot at Apple, and I like the way manufacturing is done, how uh, different executives, including VPs, are hands on, and I have seen Steve Jobs myself, and when he used to approve of every UI himself. So there was a lot that I learned at work during my job. And at some point of time, especially after my MBA, I had that itch, or what they call in MBA is the entrepreneurship bug bit me, maybe. But I felt like doing something more challenging and more basically something harder that would give a better kick for that, for the lack of better words. And of course, I had to take care of what is the financial impact. I mean, leaving a job like Apple that gives a lot of stock options and lots of other perks. It's not easy. So we did some calculation, and we saved some funds for to last us for some time. But it felt like that was the right thing to do at that time. And in fact, yeah. Speaking of close ones, yeah, my husband kept reminding me, what about Nimbahar? You were planning to do that, and we thought, okay, it's the time. And when things have to happen, and when all the stars are right, I mean, they just happen. And I don't regret that any minute, by the way. And some of my friends ask me, do you miss getting the salary very regularly? And I said, yeah, that was that time, and I did enjoy that. I was not unhappy, and I did enjoy that. But as time goes by, I realized that my next step in career was doing something like this.
Yes, ma'am, sure. It is important that you are happy with what you are doing. So, you mentioned about the challenges. So, the next question is regarding that. The fields that you are in are basically engineering, medical, and business, which are absolutely poles apart. And it is not everyone's cup of tea. If someone wants to dive into the fields like that, they become the jack of all and master of none kind of thing. So, what motivated you to take this challenge, and how did you achieve the perfection in everything?
Yeah, that's a good question, and there are multiple kind of aspects of looking at that. But the first thing I would say is that every engineer is blessed with something. You can learn anything basically. Once you get an engineering degree, you know how to solve any problem which is based on science. Okay, so learning about medicine, at least the theory. I mean, we are not going to do surgery or anything ourselves, but learning the theory was not difficult. um, Ironically, I did not take biology in my junior college. I was so enamored with electronics that I quit biology. And I don't know if they have still that option in Maharashtra, but 11th and 12th I had electronics. And so I did not even know much about art and its names and all that, but it was not difficult to learn because that was what we were doing. And now, in fact, when I talk about our product and our signal, people think that I am a cardiologist, and they ask me. So, in fact, after AHA's first day of presentation, they said, "Where is your practice?" And next day, when I talked about technology, they said, "No, you cannot be. You have to be an engineer because doctors won't know what you're doing." I mean, an engineer can learn the terms and understand, but the doctors cannot talk so much detail about technology. So the answer is it's not difficult to learn as such, any part of science. And uh, the world is becoming so uh, multidisciplinary that in any work you will not be just confined to doing just what you have learned in school. You will always end up learning a lot of different things. When it comes to business knowledge, I did take an MBA, and it helped me a lot. And going back to college, that time I was around 38 years old, I think. So 36. So going to college after so many years, and also at that time I was working full time for Apple, and I had 2 kids at home. So and traveling to LA to do MBA was not easy, but that that just brought back the memories of college and being in contact with such learned people who are not trying to judge you, and every day you have something to take away, and that was a great experience. And MBA did teach me, and it did prepare me for this entrepreneurship. In fact, we had I had taken an elective called entrepreneurship. I didn't know I would jump into that, but I am still in touch with that professor, and he keeps giving me advices. And he says, if you do a good exit of Nimble I'll put your story in one of our curriculum subjects. But I'm not dreaming about that. But thing is, it was a hands-on experience, so it was all learned from so many years of job as well as the degrees and everything that I put together in this.
Okay, so it all started with basically engineering. So our college would rather take the credit for this. Next question is the invention is pretty new. So when you launched this product, was it difficult to convince the cause to the hospitals, or people were aware about the cause and were happy to know that something like Nimble Heart has come into the market?
Yeah, very good question. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes when you create a new product, you are addressing an existing need by making something better, or sometimes you create a new market altogether. Luckily, in our case, both the things happened. So we are into, like I mentioned, secondary prevention and primary prevention. So secondary prevention, there's something called cardiac rehabilitation, which is a structured market in most of the places in world. In India, it is coming up, and people are so that's why I mean, we have not deployed it yet in India, but going to do that soon. But cardiac rehabilitation is an insurance reimbursed 3-month program where patients do monitored exercises. First responders, meaning police, fire, and EMS and military type of staff. And our product is being used for their active, routine kind of exercise stress testing outside the hospital.
Okay, so
So it does help if there is an existing market, but sometimes you have to do like you have to work on completely new thing also.
okay. So you have mentioned this that you have not launched the product in India. So the next question is very straightforward. That when are you planning to deploy your product in India?
Yeah, so we have in fact, before COVID, actually, even before that, even before FDA clearance, we did our first clinical study in India in Gcoe Hospital in Coimbatore. And I myself was there, and it was a very intense experience for an engineer because I have never even seen patients doing stress testing or anything. And but that was the clinical study part to prove that the technology works. And then we did demo to a lot of well-known heart hospitals, including Asian Heart Institute in Mumbai, and also Narayan Hridayalaya, Dr. Devi Shetty. One of my advisors, he just wore the monitor, and he walked into Devi Shetty's big office and showed him his live ECG, and he said there are a lot of possibilities that we can do with this. And we also talked to, I think, Apollo Hospital in Bangalore. So uh, they are implementing their, and also, yeah, the Kokila Bain Hospital in Bombay. But uh, during COVID, all this took backseat because people had all the hospitals had to focus their resources on the inpatient services or patients in ICU, patients with COVID, etc. But now cardiac rehab is coming up again, and we are planning to actually partner with a company in India which has their service business in multiple cities, 10 cities, I think, and they have their staff who provide cardiac rehabilitation, and they will use our monitors to do that from home. And that will be, and they will be replicating the US model. So our product basically allows them to give the monitor to the patient with training. The patients take it home, they exercise it on treadmill, and the clinical staff watches multiple patients, just like we are watching right now. We are communicating with a lot of people. So they actually watch live different patients doing exercises from their own home. And we are going to bring that model in India as well.
Okay. Ma'am, next question is how would you rate your product in terms of affordability and accessibility? And what is your main focus?
Um, so affordability versus accessibility, there will always be some trade-off, and our main goal is making it accessible first, and so that people can be screened, and affordability will happen I mean, right now it's not that expensive either, but eventually when we go to bigger scale of manufacturing, currently we manufacture it in California, to maintain the quality and to have the supply chain control. So you can imagine that it cannot be super cheap, but eventually as we grow and we have more volume, we we plan to manufacture it in India as well.
So, ma'am, another question is again regarding 9 to 5 job. So, our generation or Gen Z kids don't like to do 9 to 5. Um, so, do you really think that 9 to 5 job is underrated? Just want to know your perceptions about it. But because before that, you are into Apple, and I'm sure that you have got some learnings in your job that are helping you in your business, and you think that you would get those experiences nowhere.
Yes, and not just Apple. I worked with a few other companies before. And by the way, I started my career at Bhabha Atomic Research Center in Mumbai, and that was a great experience also. So every job that I was at, I have definitely learned. And if you want to do something in technical field or something high tech, I mean, job experience is a must. If you know the life story of Steve Jobs, even he did some internship, even though he dropped out of college. And I don't want to promote that. Absolutely, it's a good idea to finish the degree for everybody. But the thing is, some kind of internship or some kind of work experience is super important for such technical careers. And I learned a lot from each of my jobs. So in India, at BRC, it was very interesting work, and that was the only place in India at that time where they would do R&D our own design, and we were designing reactor regulating systems. We used to get chips from US, and then I went on to US with my husband, and I worked on wireless systems and all those. By the way, you won't believe that your generation doesn't even know that there was wireless when 1.2 Mbps was considered very high bandwidth. And when we first brought up 35 Mbps, people said, who needs that? I mean, who's going to do so much wireless speed at home? And so seeing how the industry evolved, how the standards are built, and being on the forefront of that has taught me so much. Not just the work culture and management also. And one part of that experience that I remember is my in my first job. By the way, since you mentioned 9 to 5 job is stable, again, that is not the case. And since I have been here more than 27 years in US, that has not been the case either. So my first job, I thought, like, okay, I'm going to continue here forever. I like the team. This is so cool. This is so cutting edge. And there was this economic downturn in 2002, and our company acquired a lot of other companies, wireless companies, which did not make sense. And they had started on doing a design which was called HOMA ref standard, and they did not back Wi-Fi standard. At that time, they backed the wrong thing, and that didn't go anywhere. And they laid off the whole team, and that came out as such a shock to me. And I was wondering what went wrong. I mean, the product was working so well. We were building something so good, and I realized I'm not trying to say all lawyers are like this, but the company was run by a lawyer, and that time I told myself such a high tech and cutting edge kind of company should be run by someone who has technical knowledge. They should know which how to strategize, like even at high level, where what is who the company should partner with, what technologies they should back, and what should be the product or what company they should buy, etc. And I decided that I'm going to take MBA at some point of time in my life. So 9 to 5, my 9 to 5 dream collapsed right after my first layoff, and I understood that uh, I need to, if I want to go somewhere, I want to. I mean, if someone wants should lead a technical company, that should be engineers who have interest in leadership and business management.
Okay, so basically there are both pros and cons, but we should not underrate
Yes.
any job. Yes, ma'am. So next question is again about our generation or Gen Z, that we have a notion about investors and investments. We think that we have a idea. There are investors outside there, and they will be convinced by our ideas, and we will be there. But I'm damn sure that everything sounds easy, but it is not. So, how difficult it was for you to convince the investors initially, or like did you have to give a lot of pitches to convince the
Yeah.
investors?
So an entrepreneur has to pitch everybody, rather not just investors, even to hire good employees, because everyone, they like you said, they are looking for 9 to 5 security, right? They think, okay, how long is the funding for this company going to last? So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to get into the mode of pitching everywhere and to everyone. And it doesn't end at just the first funding round. There are multiple funding rounds, and you keep on doing it at different funding rounds. And in fact, also along those lines, I would say that no founder can say that I will not do any sales work. Hey, I just like design, I'll do it, and someone else will do it. That's not possible. You cannot hire salespeople until you show your own initial sales. So every founder has to do sales to the VC, sales to the customer, sales to the employees, and everyone. And yes, so one good thing was to start with, I was introduced to one venture capital firm by someone I know, and then someone from the jobs, like you said, right, the 9 to 5. But I had built such good relations. In fact, someone I'm happy to say now that I just remembered that uh, the the CTO of that company who laid off the whole team, I was still in touch with him after when I changed my jobs, including Apple, and he used to give me some mentorship, guidance, and all that. And even now, he's a nimble hard investor, actually, and he has advised me even on some IP strategy at times. Even though he mainly focuses on wireless industry, he says, "I believe in you." So the main crux in that, in raising funds, is people should be able to believe you, and they should be able to trust you, because everything is uncertain, right? Tomorrow, you say, I mean, we got just FDA clearance and we were ready with manufacturing, after which COVID hit, and nobody would have predicted that, right? And that took a little backseat, like I said, with sales and business development and all. But establishing the trust is very important, and the investors have to see a genuine story. And I have, like I said, I haven't seen Shark Tank, but people say, hey, why don't you cook up some numbers, show some market that doesn't exist? And I said, I'll not do that, because you need to have some realistic projections, realistic market size, and realistic story that people will trust. So only when it is genuine, and when they can see the that ingenuity in you, and the passion and the faith and the optimism in you, they will invest. So it's not like something you train, like to do, or a drama that you do. It's not about that. It has to be real, and they can see that.
Sure, ma'am. So when life gives you lemon, all you need to do is trust yourself and make a lemonade out of it. So coming to your college journey. So, as you are the alumni of our college, it would be unfair if I don't talk about your journey. So, before starting, I would like to tell you that if you remind any of your college experience and want to share with us, feel free to interrupt in middle. So, starting with our first question. What kind of student you were? I mean, I know you were the excellent in studies, but I mean to say that that were you the student that used to study one night before exam, or the one who prepares the notes before 1 month of exam and would start preparing?
Okay, Mahi, I would like to you to guess what would be the answer.
Okay, so I think you might be the very sincere one, like the one who starts preparing before a month of exam, like preparing the notes and all. I guess.
Oh, yeah, almost like that. I mean, I never studied the day before exam, and there was not a single exam that I did not take 6 to 7 hours of full sleep. So, and yeah, I was always on top from the beginning, and I enjoyed. Of course, there are always some favorite subjects and some less favorite subjects for everyone, but I enjoyed the process of learning and for most of the subjects, and I never had to study last minute, and I don't think I could have done that either if there was something like that. And also there were, I mean, I don't say that one should not be focused on exams and numbers and the marks, but I used to look at the question paper very late. I never started with question papers. I know there, at least when I was a student, there was a kind of a strategy that a lot of students adopted, where hey, look at the paper and what are the most likely questions and what are the most likely topics, and you study those. But I used to study all of them. I never used to leave anything.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So it's all about hard work. You were the hard worker, and from your since your college days, right?
yeah, and I
And
didn't see it as work per se, like I said, because I never like kept awake the whole night or anything. It was just part of the routine.
okay. So next question is, what were you more interested in your college days? Is it academics or co-curricular, or did you have a sort of balance in both?
Yeah, I mean, one has to keep a balance, right? And
Yes.
I like both, but again, only certain type of extracurricular activities that I enjoyed. In final year, I did frankly have a few thoughts about whether I should participate, actually participate in extracurricular activities. most of the girls used to stay at VMB girls hostel or rural institute girls hostel, I think. And having stayed at the college hostel, I realized that other of my friends, they could not get those privileges. And we, in fact, myself and my friend who were ladies representatives, we were helped by the professors at that time. I even remember meeting Dr. Shrikant Jiska in one of the visits that he had to Amravati. And just when we were in final year, they started the construction, I think. And I never got a chance, unfortunately, to see the building, but I'm sure it is good, and girls are having a good, comfortable stay there.
Yes, ma'am. We are having two amazing infrastructures of girls' hostel. One is Gcoe and another is New Girls Hostel. So basically, all the girls from all the years are staying there. Um,
Interesting.
so the last bit, one question. But did you always want to be what you are today, or you always believe in going with the flow?
Um, yeah, I did not know what I was going to be at this age, but flow, as in, I won't say flow about the other people or what people were doing, or, but it was the flow of my own, I would say, interests and flow of my career, I would say. So the career just took me in the direction, and I listened to my instincts. And for example, after having worked in various chip companies, I realized that it was time to get to a company which actually uses those chips and makes the final end products. And that's how I ended up at Nortel and Apple. And so I followed the progression rather than just considering that something is forever with me.
Hmm. Okay. Yes, ma'am. As I have previously mentioned, that if you remember any of your college incident and if you want to share it with us, so yeah, if there is something before we proceed towards the last question.
Um, there are lots of incidents, and I don't know what would be more appropriate here for all the audience. But one thing I remember was, I mean, the principal, Sir Mr. Gawande and Mrs. Gawande, they were so nice and friendly at that time. And because our girls' hostel was on top of the warden's quarter, they could see us going in front of their bungalow every day. And my roommate that I mentioned, and she and I had like sort of we clicked. Like the moment she came into the classroom, we became friends, and we are still friends. And she was in VMB hostel earlier, and every day I used to go see her. And the principal, Mrs. Principal, knew that. And when there was some vacancy and she came back, she said, "Now Sonal doesn't have to wait for her friend." And they were so caring, and they knew about each student so well. And uh, and I really appreciated that. And they were all like, they like I realized, I mean, there were 16 noisy girls on top of Professor Dave and Professor Varsankars. It was a lot of hassle for them, and sometimes, and there were lots of things that happened during our schooling. Like there was one other incident is yeah, there was a student strike. And by the way, yeah, I have to mention this because such things might be still happening. I don't know. There was a big student strike because of which the exams got postponed, and then said it was a boys' strike. I mean, I don't know, I don't remember the reason. And the decision was made to expel all the students out from the hostel. They just literally threw us out, and that was decided to by some higher level, including girls. And we were just told, "Hey, you have to vacate your hostel," just like that. And my roommate and I, we literally walked around. I mean, took auto rickshaw and went around the whole city for the whole day, only to find something. And we stayed there for a week, and we found it so, like, we were not secure there. And it was like outside, and it did not have facilities like the hostel. And it was very shocking. But luckily, the strike was called off within a week, and we were called back, and we felt like our hostel was like heaven. And it's so secure and so convenient, and told us a lot actually, how life can put you in different situations, and our parents could not come and help us for that, right? We had to find our own accommodation within 1 or 2 days and transfer everything, and so you learn a lot, and you also learn how there are some parameters that you cannot control in life, and college is for teaching you all that.
Yes, ma'am. So definitely you are having a lot of struggle, but now, ma'am, college is much more secure for girls. We are having a cell called Women's Grievance Cell, and ma'am is the coordinator of that, Zape ma'am. So it is much more secure, and we actually are not having that kind of struggle. But I'm sure at your times it was definitely very hard. So coming towards the last question, what advice would you like to give to the budding engineers?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned a few times during my conversation, uh, never stop learning. That's the most important mantra for any engineer, because what you learned is something to get started in your career. But especially engineering, things evolve, technology changes, no matter what stream of engineering you are in. Or, of course, if you're in academia, you will keep learning, but even in industry, you should never stop learning. That is one thing. And secondly, in career, own your career. Don't uh, don't depend, or don't rather blame your family, your spouse, your husband, or your employer if you are not doing well in your career. You should take the responsibility. You should, and especially this applies to women engineers. Yeah, there is a lot of talk about like how things are unfair and all that, but you have to take that responsibility. You have to be professional. You have to be dedicated, and you have to show the value that you bring in, and you should talk to your employer about the opportunities, and work with them, in your own progress, and that is very important, I think.
Definitely, definitely, ma'am. So we are done with the question. Thank you very much for joining with us, and it was amazing interview. Um, Zape, ma'am, shall we conclude, or anything you will like to talk about?
Are there any questions?
Yeah. If audience is having any questions, they can ask in chat box, or they can unmute themselves and ask also.
Actually, at this time, our exams are just on verge of ending, and final year students, mostly 50%, more than 50% students are on internship. That's why they can't join this
Oh,
meeting, but
yeah.
this recording will be put on YouTube channel of college, so that many people, many students will be benefited from this interview, I'm sure. That's why they cannot join online this program. Internship is going on.
Mhm.
Uh, so no questions. So we can end now. Mine.
Uh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
So
thank you all, and very nice getting back together with you.
So now I would request Tanvi to deliver a vote of thanks.
Good morning, all of you. I would like to deliver a vote of thanks to Miss Sonal Tambe ma'am for such an amazing program. Then I would like to thank respected principal Dr. A.M. Mahale sir for joining with us. Then I would like to thank faculty coordinator Dr. M.V. Zappe ma'am, Dean Student Welfare and Chairperson WGC, and Dr. R.M. Medkar sir, Dean R&D. Then I would like to thank Miss Mahi Ragani ma'am, Institute representative for this such an amazing program, and all of you for your precious attendance. I, Tanvi Dine Chauhan from first year electrical engineering, feel very thankful to have an opportunity to deliver my vote of thanks. And with the permission, I declare that the program is over. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank
All the best,
thank you, Tanvi.
Tanvi.
Thank you, Sonal. And also I thank Vigyan Bharati members, Dr. Naresh Safekar, he was there. He was in the meeting for their contribution. Vibha members, Ghare ma'am, Manisha Ghare ma'am. I'm thankful. I'm thankful to Dilip Chaudhary sir, DJ Chaudhary sir. You were always inspiring, and your bond with college is always there. I thank Pranav Sontakke sir, Chauragade madam, Pushpanjali Chauragade madam is also present here. So thank you Sonal, thank you Mai for wonderfully conducting this program in such a beautiful, single-handedly. She has done all job. Thank you, well, very well done.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Pranav.
Thank you.
कसं छान
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. हो
कसं
खूपच
वाटलं
छान. मी
प्रोग्राम?
खूप छान झाला मॅम. बऱ्याच गोष्टी कळल्या. आणि त्यांचं जे मला ते एक आवडलं की कीप लर्निंग, ते खूप चांगलं मेसेज
हो
होता
हो
सर्वांसाठी, स्टुडंटसाठी, की ते खूप गरजेचं आहे की असं नाही की मी या क्षेत्राशी रिलेटेड आहे, माझी ही ब्रांच आहे तर मी तेच शिकेल. लर्निंग खूप इम्पॉर्टंट आहे. लर्निंग करत करत त्या एवढ्या जे जो रूट कॉज जो इश्यू आहे त्यांनी तो ऍड्रेस करून प्रोडक्ट डिझाईन केलेलं आहे. आणि जसं माहिती विचारलं त्यांना की मार्केटिंग वगैरे, तर त्यांनी एक गोष्ट चांगली सांगितली की असं नाही की मी फाउंडर आहे तर मी मार्केटिंग नाही करणार, तर तुम्हाला सेल्स मध्ये पण उतरावं लागेल. तर खूप चांगलं.
थँक्यू. आणखी खूप लोकांच्या कामात पडेल, बिकॉज दिस विल बी ऑन युट्यूब चॅनल. खूप
येस
कामात
येस
पडेल.
आय विल शेअर.
थँक्यू.
थँक्यू माय. थँक्यू डीजे सर.
Thank you, sir, for joining with us.
Okay, so we can conclude.